I worked with Dad quite a lot.
Keep the mic up close to your mouth.
I worked with Dad quite a lot. After Cynthia and I were married, and it was good to be with him. Be with him through that, and then
say the
name
of your dad for record.
My dad, Berkeley Compton. To be with him when we were building the log home. Those were years I will always cherish. When we built the log home in Santa Clara, right outside of St. George, and then it got finished, it's time for me to figure out something to do, and so I took a sales job doing financial planning for a while. And then I decided, Cynthia and I, where are you, Cynthia? Cynthia and I decided that we would go back and I would do a PhD back in Ohio. And we went back. The first Christmas that we were back there, right? We came back to St. George, Santa Clara, with Mom and Dad. And this is the event that has always meant a lot to me, and I want you to know it. I think it's something you should know, and it has to do with what Terry was saying, partially. Life hadn't been easy for Mom or Dad, and it was a joint struggle, and that's just what it was. But I was, the night before we were leaving to return to Ohio, Mom and I were sitting on the couch. Not the log house couch, but down in Dixie.
Dixie Down.
To. It wasn't Dixie Downs.
Oh,
it was.
Okay.
It was down by the high school, the St. George High School, because they'd moved out of the log home. But we were sitting there on a long couch in that house, having a conversation, and she was talking about her life. And she said, and I want everybody here to hear this. So if you're doing anything other than listening to this, stop and listen now. So my mother turned to me and said, Chad, she'd been talking about how hard life was, and she said, Chad, I have done everything in my life that God asked me to do. And I know from Him that I am approved, that I stand approved before Him. I have done it all that He asked me to do. I never said no to Him. And then she said, and I am tired, and I would just like to go home. And then about 2 months later, she was in a car accident, and she went home to her Heavenly Father. But you remember always that Mary Compton, as hard as it was, and Terry was talking about it, she always did what God asked her to do. And at the end, she knew she had, and she knew that she stood acceptable before Heavenly Father. And that is a great way to leave this life. I wanted you to know that.
Thank you.
Brother did. And I'm very grateful. I think,
Put it closer to your mouth.
I believe Dad taught me to have patience. I remember one morning we were going to priesthood in Los Altos Hills. And we went outside and the car was gone. And Dad just looked where the car used to be and he goes, huh. This car's not there. And I said, where did you leave the key? He goes, I always leave the key in the car so I know where it's at. And we turned around and went back in the house. And he wasn't upset. He didn't yell or scream or anything. And one other time I had a friend of mine who asked to back out one of our cars in our driveway in Pleasanton, and in the process hit another car that was Dad's. And I went in the house and told Dad, and he was eating dinner. He just kept on eating. He didn't even acknowledge that I said that. And I just had to stand there for like 5 minutes while he finished eating. He goes, well, let's go see what happened. So I know had a lot of turbulence in his household when he was young, but he had done a lot towards mastering his emotions, I believe. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing for us to learn. I have many memories of my mother and father. I do remember, in conjunction with what Chad said, I was going to BYU, and Mom and Dad came up to visit us. And as she was leaving, Dad left, and she turned around and said, she said basically the same thing. If you would come hit me, Jay. Actually, Chad's the one that used to hit me.
Yeah, I'm not the one.
You used to hit me a lot.
I poked her. I didn't hit her. Anyway, she said, she looked at me and she said, I've lived a long life. I've had a hard life. And she says, I'm ready to go. I'm worse than Loretta. And that was kind of a disturbing thing for me at the time. I just got married. I was young. And she must have been very soon after she talked to you, because it was about 2 weeks later she passed away. Anyway, I want you to know how much I love you all. I have a problem with crying. And I'm very grateful that Mom was willing to have me, even after she'd had all her kids, and she told me on more than one occasion, I was all done. I'm not playing pun on the name, but
No, she did.
she says, I was all done. And she said, I had no intentions of having any more kids. She goes, but I was asked to. And she said, I asked why. And she says, I was told because others will not. And there were some other factors. But anyway, I'm very grateful she did. And I'm honored to be a Compton. And that's what I got to say.
What?
Video me.
Yeah.
So just for historical record, there's been a couple of references from Chad and Joseph Alden there, about some things our mother said shortly before she passed away. And I find that fascinating because I did not know those accounts. So I'll share an account of my own that happened shortly before she passed away, just so that all of you know, just to add to their what they said. She didn't tell me, that she was tired and she was ready to go. About 2 weeks before she came up, she wrote me a letter. And Mom didn't write a ton of letters, and I was surprised that she wrote me a letter because I knew she was coming up, because they were coming up to see me dance in the ballroom dance concert. But she wrote me a letter, And I thought, well, that's really weird that she would write me a letter, because I know she's going to be here in 2 weeks because it was previously planned for them to come. But she wrote me a letter. Just kind of bearing her testimony of the gospel. And in the letter, she expressed gratitude to me and encouraged me to continue to be a good man, and challenged me to be a good man throughout my life. And I didn't recognize it at the time, but it was really her part in counsel to me. And I recognized later she had been inspired to write that letter because I never got a chance to talk to her. That was her last communication to me, was the letter that came shortly before the car accident that ended her life. And I think that was part of her premonition that she was about to leave the scene. So just thought I'd share that.
Since we're on the subject